Harmeet Dhillon is the founder of Dhillon Law and the CEO of Center for American Liberty. She joins me now to discuss this fight ahead. Welcome, Harmeet. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for your time today. I got to get your reaction to the Southwest CEO, who today, all this video has been going around of one of the interviews that he gave this morning. And he was saying that while he opposes these vax mandates, but it's the Biden mandate. What are you going to do? And they're based in Texas, where this morning the governor signed this executive order banning any entity, private business or not, from demanding that their employees get this injection. This seems like he's trying to be shady here with his stance. What do you make of that?
Well, look, I think that what's happening here is a lot of mixed signals from the Biden administration. A lot of overreaching from the Biden administration is really causing this ripple effect throughout the United States. And so if you're running a business, you generally do try to get ahead of government mandates and prepare people for them. So I don't necessarily blame the Southwest CEO. What's not really clear, though, to me, and a lot of people are making excuses and statements on his behalf, is whether he is saying that he's doing this under the coming OSHA mandate, which hasn't gone into effect, is only a press release and a couple of statements from the White House podium so far, or whether he's doing this as a government contractor, like Raytheon or some defense industry contractor. Because if it's the latter, I think there's a real question as to whether the federal code of regulations allows for, somebody who incidentally may be doing 1% business with the government by carrying workers or giving a discounted rate to government employees, if that converts them into a government contractor for all purposes of this type of a situation. And then number two, of course, it puts them at odds with the excellent new Texas law that bans this type of activity. So what's wonderful in this case, which we have not seen in just about any other case other than statements made by the United States Postal Workers Union, is the union for these airline pilots standing up for their workers, which is the whole point of unions. And so I'd love to see more of this happening throughout the United States. And I hope to see that this case does get resolved in court and ends up curtailing the overreach of the Biden administration, which I think doesn't have the authority to do this in the first place.
Right, and that's a great point, too, about those unions. If one union can do it, why can't the other? And you also brought up something really interesting, too, that I think a lot of people discussing this have been overlooking, the whole implementation by OSHA and how this, it exists as a press release, but it hasn't actually gone through that process and have been reviewed. And the way that I understand it, and you would know this better than me, the administration was going under that emergency temporary standard, that ETS process, which is a lot faster, but it excludes any kind of public feedback and public review. And if it's taking them this long, how are they able to go through this ETS route if they're not actually moving at a speed that you would think would be associated with something that's an emergency? It's like the longer they wait, the harder that it makes. It seems to me the harder it is for them to say that this is an emergency. And so they have to bypass all public opinion on this.
Exactly right. And so what you're seeing here is actually symptomatic and, in fact, emblematic of the Biden administration's approach to so many issues, which is say something in December of last year after he was elected that I'm not going to impose these mandates, say it again repeatedly, have his, head of the CDC repeatedly say we aren't going to mandate vaccination or any of that. And then quickly, because of some poll or because of some bad public opinion or wanting to change the subject, he decides to completely, ignore what he said before and implement this thing and then run roughshod over the law. The law is, first of all, I think that all of these administrative agencies should be unconstitutional. Unfortunately, that has not happened in the United States Supreme Court, despite legal challenges. Now that we're stuck with them, there are parameters. And unless Congress delegated the authority to that administrative agency, and unless the situation is not preempted by, state law, which has the right to make police power decisions over just about all police power issues in the United States, they have to go through a particular process. They're skipping over that process. Now, historically, Dana, there's only been a couple of situations where this emergency procedure kind of got into court. One was more than, I think, 30 years ago, and maybe it was 20 years ago. It involved asbestos in the workplace, and that was actually rejected by the courts as not really an emergency and not, within the parameters of that. The other is very recently this summer over OSHA regulations over healthcare workers, and unfortunately that one has been allowed to stand. But I think that the administration got enough pushback from state attorneys general, state governors, and of course industry that they are really slow pedaling this. The White House, Jen Psaki said they're going to issue these rulings by Christmas time. So where's the fire? Where's the emergency? I think that we may not see it at all, or if we do, it's going to be riddled with holes. So we'll see. But I, for one, am poised to file suit if necessary over that 100-person mandate, because the federal government doesn't have the power to do that.